It's a good one.
I'm wearing a little blue, little orange. I may not change until the end of March Madness when they cut down the nets.
At least till after the next game.
And the great Deon Thomas, all-time Illini men's basketball leading scorer, joins us now. He's so excited he can't even help it.
He's the best. He's the best. And he was the cover story of the News Gazette this week.
Yes. Yeah,
Great
good interview.
Story.
Yeah, News
good
Gazette,
interview.
news-gazette.com. Deon Thomas interviewed by
Bob Asmussen.
By Bob Asmussen, yeah. So make sure you get that if you're nuts for Deon Thomas like we are.
Yes.
Hey, buddy.
Good morning, guys. You guys are wonderful. You put a smile on my face every time I hop on with you guys.
Well,
so do the listeners, too. You should see my text.
Your smile is contagious.
Bob Asmussen does this. For Deon Thomas, it's the greatest job in the world. I think that's one of the reasons people love listening to you guys. Mm-hmm. It's infectious.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to get an infection, I'd love it to be me and Brian.
That's a good one to have.
Brian and Deon COVID-free on the air. You won't get COVID from them.
Exactly.
All right, I guess we got to jump to a preview here. This is going to be a tough game. Iowa State's good. What do we need to do? I mean, clearly, we know they're cheaters. We know they don't like their grandmothers or puppies. But what do we need to do?
Well, first of all, start right there and change their mindset. You got to love grandmothers. You got to love puppies. I love them both.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Iowa State. Our guys are fine.
Oh, our guys are great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this is going to be, you've had this discussion, and I'm sure you guys have heard it. Offense wins games. Defense wins championships. You have the two best teams in the country in their respective offense for Illinois, defense for Iowa State. We'll see how this game goes. But this Iowa State team is a very good team, and we definitely have to go in there and be ready to play. I hope we come out the way we did in our last game against Duquesne. I mean, those guys came out firing on all cylinders because I believe it will be necessary in order to get this Iowa State team down and under control. They are a very good defensive team, as I've mentioned, number one in the nation by Ken Palm. But what we have to do against them, because they run a lot of traps, especially on their pick and rolls where guys jump out, we cannot turn over the basketball.
Absolutely.
We cannot try to. Yes, that's the key. That's where they score a ton of points from. Is turning people over and getting to the basket.
Deon, I couldn't.
Then we have to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say I couldn't agree with you more. If the team that showed up against Duquesne shows up against Iowa State, I think we're good to go. I want to see more Dane Deja. He was outstanding. I want to see Coleman Hawkins do back-to-back-to-back threes just like he did. Goody's got to hit his threes. If they all perform and stay on in that zone, I think we have a good shot.
And I agree with you 100%. I mean, Brad he and his staff have done a tremendous job of figuring out the players' roles. The players have bought into everything that they need to do. They've looked great since the Big Ten tournament, and they've pretty much dominated teams. Now, it's been a half, but this last game and a half, they've looked great. So they're going to have to play that same way, as I mentioned, because this Iowa State team is one that's really popping. We're really good shooters from three. They have three guys that they really depend on. And so the head of this snake is Taman Lipsey. So we definitely have to make sure we know where he is. And I'm sure Terrence Shannon will probably start on him defensively to slow them down, because when he gets them going, then they play really well. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is, and it's two of the things that we do best, we have to pound them on the glass, because they are not a great rebounding team, but they're a good rebounding team. They're not as good as we are. I mean, they average about 33 rebounds a game. We average over 40. And we have to make sure that that's a staple, because then that'll allow us to get out and run in transition, which takes away what they do best, which is their half-court defense. So I'm excited to see how this game goes. It's going to be a slobber knocker.
Yeah, and that's a technical basketball term, kids.
Yeah, it is.
So, Deon, when you have a defensive team versus an offensive team, talk about primarily here, the biggest problem to me for the offensive team is if the defensive team slows the offensive team down. So are you running out of the gate?
Yes. We're at our best. Illinois is at their best when they are running. When you get Terrence Shannon in the open court and allow him to get where he's going, there's not a player in the country that's better. You have the big man. You got Dane Danger when he's running the floor the way he does when he's on the floor. We've seen him, with some spectacular passes this first round of the NCAA tournament because he was running the floor, because other guys were running the floor. Illinois is at their best when they're doing that. It also opens them up for outside threes and things like that. And the best thing about it, and one of we talking about coaching phrases, is no one wants to play 5-on-5. That's how you stop playing 5-on-5. You get the ball off the glass and you get out and run in transition.
I love these locker room celebrations that they have. We saw Coach Underwood in the last game with the squirt gun, and they're just having a good time. Deon, what is he telling them at this point? What are the conversations being had in the locker room? Is it game by game, just let's take this one and then worry about UConn, San Diego State? What is he telling them at this point? Well,
you're definitely game by game because this is the NCAA tournament. This is win and go or go home. You survive and advance. Whatever phrase people want to use to describe it, you're concentrating first on the team that's in front of you. Now, you also are making sure that they understand they're just as good as or better than anyone else that they're going to play. Because when you walk on the court, you have to believe that you're going to win that game. You can't go out there second-guessing yourself or doubting. So I'm sure Coach is putting as much confidence into those guys and breathing as much life into them and getting them to understand that if you do your job, everyday guys, do your job and play harder than the other team, then you'll be successful.
So going into this game, anybody, and this is a great scorer, anybody can have a night where the rim is the size of a ring on your ring finger or a night when it's the size of a hula hoop. So if you get an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid who's a shooter and they're cold early, what do you say to them to get their head right? Because you can turn it around at halftime, even if you got a cold first half.
It's really simple. You continue to play your game. You be the player that got you to where you are today. You don't all of a sudden, because you're having a bad shooting night, change. But what you do want to do is to get their mind off the negative. Okay, I missed the shot. No, okay, concentrate on this, whether it's rebounding, whether it's defense, whether it's getting loose balls, because you didn't all of a sudden forget how to shoot. You know how to shoot. Mm-hmm. You'll knock down the next one, but don't make that your focus. Put your focus over here and allow that to develop on its own.
Yeah, and we saw Coleman Hawkins do that too. He missed a couple of shots and then just boom, got that rebound and then shot that field goal, and early on in the Duquesne game. So I think you're right. I think if there's something that starts to go wrong, they know at this point. You're at the stage in the game where it's like, all right, shake it off and move on and get the next one.
Well, I mean, these kids, you got to think about it. They've been playing since they were little kids.
Right.
And if you have reached this level, you have a certain amount of amnesia that's good for you. You're not going to be thinking, okay, well, I made that one. You're going to forget about that one as quickly as you can. And if not, you're still, sometimes people can linger in there a little bit. Like you said, Andre, if you miss one, you miss two, you miss three, you start lingering. Now it's up to coach to say, hey, come over here, sit down with me for a little while, get yourself under control, and then put you back in. Because now that shows he still has confidence in you. Your teammates have confidence in you. So now you just have to go out there and worry about the little things, and the rest will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't wait to hear the call, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you jumping on. I would alert folks to this News Gazette piece on you.
It's great.
And one of my favorite things, you talk. The writer talks about you and Ray, the lovely and talented Ray. Listen to music, hiking, doing the fun things with your dogs, Chunk and Bailey. But I love this part about you being a dad and your girls. What did the girls say when you said, do you want any of my memorabilia from my playing days?
Well, the first thing was why. Why?
Oh.
I'm not going to be here forever. You might want to leave this for the kids.
Right.
No, you're just dad. So, no, they had no interest in any of that stuff, which is okay.
It is okay, but it's funny. You're a good dad, man.
You are the best.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you being on. ILL.
I.
There you go, Deon. Woo! We'll be listening on the call.
Absolutely. Creighton's not doing that.
Honestly,
CREIG, or is it IEG?
No, it's ILLINI, baby. And Brian and Deon are just the best.
Hear him here tomorrow night.
The best to listen to.
Illini Hoops are all here.
Gotta
Football
do
in the
it.
fall.